Hey everyone! In May of 2023, I went to National Taiwan Normal University in beautiful Taiwan to deliver a seminar on how to interview for a job in English to students and staff in the College of International Studies and Social Sciences. If you enjoy these free seminars, please click like and subscribe. You can also leave a comment or question below, and I will read it and reply. Thanks! Now let's get into my super clear seminar on how to interview for a job in English.
今天来参加的各位老师、同学，还有我们帮忙服务的院的同仁，大家午安，大家好。我毕竟赖先生，很高兴各位来参加我们国社院所办的这个英语增能的工作坊。今天是我们算是这个工作坊的第二个主题的课程啊。今天会谈的是针对履历的撰写。 还有interview 就是面试的一些准备，希望我们今天准备的课程内容各位会喜欢。那我刚刚跟那个 Antony 说，因为他上一次上的有口碑了，所以这次人数会比上一次多。我想这个也是非常难得的一个机会。那 Antony 他是目前是也在我们 CALE 就是英语学术素养中心这边在帮忙。那 是非常 outstanding 的一个我们的那个 colleague， 那他也在Uni-edit 这边服务。我想您今天就刚刚提到这个两个主题啊，不管是你要去准备你的 resume 那个 CV， 或者是你要去参加 interview 被人家 interview， 也是受用嘛，就是大概从哪些面向来看 interviewee， 我想这个就是有蛮不错的一个功效啊。那我想我们今天的课程也希望各位会喜欢。麻烦各位就好好吸收，然后有机会的话把它分享传授给我。那我跟各位一样有学习的这个效果。好，那是不是我可以先代表我们江院长来致赠我们的感谢状给 Antony？OK，we just want to present our appreciation.
What does an interviewer want to know about you? Any ideas? Personality, experience, ability, education background? Yeah. I think the simple answer is everything that's not on your resume. They can read your resume for your experience and your background and your education, but specifics, right? What challenges did you face when writing your research, right? That's not on your resume. So, an interviewer wants to know about your personality, your language ability, your work experience, your education experience, your personal goals, and your potential fit for the role. Your potential fit for the role. I would also say potential fit for the company or the department. They want to know, here's a good point. If you are being interviewed, you are qualified for the job. An interview says, hey, you're qualified. We want to meet you. So don't doubt, oh, I don't know if I can do this job. No. You have an interview, they believe you can do the job. So all you now need to do is talk about your experiences and your personality. An interview is your opportunity to share your expertise and professional skills through storytelling. And I think this is the most challenging part. What is the interviewer really trying to understand? So we're going to start at the top and we're going to move around in a circle. So let's start. What is the interviewer really trying to understand? Interview questions are designed to show your personal history, your expertise, your personality, your opinions, and your problem-solving skills. Maybe it's only personal history. Maybe it's only problem-solving skills. Sometimes it's all of them all at once. Oh, and work style, of course. Here's an example interview question. Tell us about a time you missed a deadline. What happened, and what did you learn? My example questions today, I tried to make them really vague. So most industries will use some of these questions. They might make it more specific. So personal history, expertise, personality, opinions, problem-solving skills, and work style. Question? Which of these is the interviewer trying to understand about you? Just raise your hand. Personal history? Well, they're asking about a time they're asking about you, which means a little bit of personal history. Expertise? Raise your hand. Is there expertise? There is expertise in this. They're asking, what did you learn? So they're asking, like, what professional skill do you have in the field? Personality? Definitely personality. If you say, I've never missed a deadline. Right? Like, they want to know, are you humble? Oh, yeah, in my last job, I really made a mistake. Okay, this person knows. They made it. They're humble. Humble is the best word. Maybe opinions? I don't think this is an opinion question, though. Problem-solving skills? Yeah, definitely a problem-solving question. That's the primary. This is the purpose of this. And then work style? Sure. How do you handle, problems in your job? This also could be communication style. Work style is communication style, and you might talk about that. I think there's another one. Example question number 2. How do you manage competing priorities? This is a great question. You might get asked it 5 times in your life. Competing priority. What's a competing priority? Anybody? Maybe job orders. Yeah, so it's when you have 2 tasks in a job and they compete for your time. They compete for your energy. So I need to finish my research paper, but I also need to make my conference poster. Those are now competing priorities. Both are priorities. Both are important, but they compete for your time. They compete for your energy. So how do you manage it? How do you manage it when you have 5 important tasks?
Work style.
Could be work style. So I'll just click through them. So work style, definitely. Let's start from the top. Personal history? Definitely. How do you manage? This is a story opportunity. When I was in school, I had my homework assignments for 6 classes and my part-time job. And I was on the volleyball team, right? They are 3 competing priorities. So you tell them, how did you do all your homework and go to practice and go to your job? It's a story time. Question? No? Personality? Why not? Opinions? Maybe not. Maybe not on this one. Problem-solving skills? Yeah, this is a huge problem-solving work style in personal history. When you start to answer a question, this is what you have to think in your head, right? What do they want to know? What are they trying to learn about me?
In the specific moment, or never have you a waiting time to think the question? I mean, like.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the question is, will they give you time to think about your answer before answering the question? Yeah. So if I ask, I'm the interviewer, tell us about a time, or how do you manage competing priorities? You probably have 5 seconds of silence, which is a long time. A lot of people say, oh, well, I manage premium. You don't need to start right away. 10 seconds is okay, but you're really starting to get awkward, right? 15 seconds is too long. Unless if you ask, can I take 10 seconds to think about my answer? Yeah, please. They will always say yes. And what does that shows your personality, right? Can I take 10 seconds to answer this question? Yeah.
So one time I was in an interview, I said, let me see, or let me think about this question.
Great.
And I think it's prolonged the time for a few seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, you just saying, let me think about my answer to this question.
Not just stay silent.
Right, that's 2 seconds. Sometimes what I'll do is they'll ask me a question, right? And I go, hang on. I want to get my idea right. Okay, 3 years ago, and that's personality, right? Right, and it's a little bit of humor, right? It's a balance, because in an interview, I always say, if they laugh, I win. Because humor is such a good emotion, right? And you're going to be on their team. This is work style. You're going to talk to them every day for years. And if you're funny and kind, they love that, because you're going to see them every day for years. You're going to be their friend, right? You're going to be there. So what is the interviewer trying to understand? We're good. How long should my answer be? How long should my answer be? Interview answers typically range from 1 to 10 sentences. 10 sentences can be a long, like 5-minute answer sometimes. And I say typically. There are a few questions that are going to be much longer. Here's the problem. Longer answers may lead to confusing the interviewer, especially if English is not your native language. If you talk for 5 minutes, there could be many mistakes, for example. If I talk for 5 minutes, maybe my idea goes too far away, and it's difficult for me to have a clear answer. So sometimes long answers are good, but long answers may lead to more confusing answers. Shorter answers might not fully answer the question. So we have two problems. Where's the balance? So I want a short answer, I want to be clear, but I also want to answer the full question. Before you start speaking, determine how long you want your answer to be. Before you start speaking, don't try to problem solve in the middle of an answer. It's going to be obvious. How do we know? Let's do some examples. Short answers are great for simple questions, obviously. Example question, how long have you been working with your current company? Do not talk for 5 minutes. They don't really want to know. Example short answer, I've been with Samsung for 3 years, 1 year as an intern, and 2 years as a marketing specialist. If they want to know more information, they will ask. But this fully answers the question in, 5-10 seconds? And now you have more time for other big answers, right? Yay! Long answers are great for answers that require telling a story. Storytelling, this is where I'm so sorry for what I'm going to do in this section. Could you answer this effectively in just one sentence? Example question, tell us about a time when you increased your company's revenue. So question, can you answer this in one sentence? Probably not. I can. Example short answer. Last year, I made our company $250,000 USD by implementing our US marketing strategies in Canada. It's a great sentence. I answered the question, but it's in red. That means, oh no, we need more details. And when you need a lot of details, your answer is going to be longer. This is the confusing part, because this feels like a good answer. It's nice and it's grammatically correct. But what are we missing? We're missing a lot of stuff. So, example long answer. See how I made room for it? Yay! Tell us about a time when you increased your company's revenue. Face this way. During my time at my previous company, I worked on a marketing campaign that significantly increased revenue. So you give them the answer. I did it. I've done it. We were trying to promote a new product launch in Canada, and I was responsible for creating and executing the digital marketing strategy. First, so we have a list. First, I conducted thorough market research to identify our target audience and develop messaging that resonated with them. Then, I created, see those verbs we're using again? I created, I conducted. Those are right from your resume. You're reading your resume for parts of this answer. I conducted thorough market research. I would write that exactly in my resume. So it's got good English, same. Then I created a comprehensive email marketing campaign that included personalized content and incentives for early adopters. We also leveraged social media. Do you want me to keep reading? I can. We also leveraged social media and paid search advertising to drive traffic to our website and generate leads. I monitored the campaign closely and made adjustments as needed to optimize results. Potentially, for example, you might want to make the answer longer. For example, as a result of our efforts, we saw a 50% increase in website traffic and a 25% increase in leads generated. Small note, our efforts and we saw. This shows I worked on a team. And I am a good team member. I saw my efforts. That shows I did a lot of work. This was my project. So be careful. If it's your project, first person. If you worked on a team, our efforts, we saw. Both are okay. But as if I'm interviewing you, I'm going to hear I or we. And I'm going to have opinions about your work. Good and bad, but I'm going to have opinions about your work. Okay? Generate right here. We were also able to convert a significant number of these leads into paying customers, resulting in a 20, good number, increased revenue for the quarter that amounted to nearly number 250,000 USD. Good numbers, we love it, we love 25, we love 50. Last sentence, overall, I am confident in my ability to create and execute successful marketing campaigns that will drive revenue growth for this company. For this company. Let's look at the other answer for a second. Last year, I made our company 250,000 USD by implementing our US marketing strategies in Canada. They said the same thing, but this says nothing about you as a professional, and this says everything about you as a professional. So when they ask you this question, oh, story time, this is when I did my US company strategy in Canada. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the details, like how to end an answer. This is so hard. I mess this up every single interview I've ever been in. How do you end an interview answer? And this is a great way. You go back to the company that you're talking with. Okay. Good. Next section, what are the 1 to 3 key points I want to convey? Interviewers will be taking notes during your interview. They always sit with their computer or they sit in a notepad and they'll be taking notes. What exactly do you want them to write down? What exactly do you want them to write down? As a philosophy, this might be my favorite part of an interview. Because some people don't know. I don't know what I want you to write down, but I'll tell a story and you can write down something. Tell them. Just tell them what you want them to write down. Here's how. State your 1 to 3 main points at the very beginning of your answer and explain your points, maybe with a story, and then restate those 1 to 3 points at the very end. Let's do an example. Oh, you okay? Oh, take your photo. Okay, no, please don't. Okay, example, question. How do you manage competing priorities? We've talked about it. Here's your example introduction. To manage competing priorities, I follow these 3 steps. So now they're listening. They're listening for 3 steps. I organize, I prioritize, and I execute. What do they write down? Organize, prioritize, execute. Pen goes down. Now they're listening to you. If you do not tell them, they're listening for how do you manage competing priorities. They have to think, how does this person manage competing priorities? But this way, organize, prioritize, execute, pen down, they listen to you. Before they're taking notes, now they're looking at you. They're looking at your personality. Example, answer, conclusion, and that's how I organize, I prioritize, and I execute. How clean is that? Now, especially when you're nervous, you don't have to worry about the story being perfect. Right? If your story kind of goes like this, or you make a lot of mistakes, or you forget a part of your story, they wrote down at the very beginning, I organize, I prioritize, and I execute. So you can make some mistakes, and you still have a clean answer. Cool. Questions? This direct style takes the pressure off the interviewer and lets them enjoy your story or explanation. That's good. Next section, if I needed, If needed, what real story can I tell that supports my answer? I made up a story one time. It didn't go well. So what real story? This is about your personality. This is when you can tell them about your emotions. An interview is an opportunity for interviewers to get to know you. Pretty simple. Telling real stories is an easy way to show your personality and expertise. Telling real stories also helps them imagine what type of coworker you're going to be. They're going to see you every day for a long time. So your stories make up who you are. I'd also say your stories make you different than other people. For an English teaching job, the resumes look the same. We all have tutoring experience, we all have English degrees, we all went to a university, right? But the stories, the specifics about me make me different. Same with marketing, same with all the other stuff. Okay, what parts of my story should I leave out? Or tell or leave out? What parts of my story? There we go. Be careful. Many details of our personal stories may be interesting to us, but they might not be interesting or relevant to the interview question. They might be important to us, but they might not be important in the interview. So just be careful. Only talk about the details of your story that the interviewers need to know to understand your answer. Remember the resume section where I said the basketball team? It's important to me that basketball team was great. It was team building. It was every Friday night. It was exciting. But it might not be important to my resume. It might not be important in the interview. Consider who, what, when, where, why, and how. Consider who, what, when, where, why, and how. Do an example. Tell us about a time when you increased your company's revenue. Example introduction. During my time at my previous company, I worked on a marketing campaign that recognized this. This is from the last example. We were trying to promote a new product launch, and I was responsible for creating and executing the digital marketing strategy. This has a lot of information, but it does not have everything. This answer's introduction leaves out many things like age, the company's name, location, the number of team members, the specific product. Right? You didn't know it. You didn't know it. When you read this answer at the beginning, it's like, oh, that's a good answer. But the interviewer might be thinking, well, when was this? Was this the company name, was this a small finance firm in Taipei? Or was this Amazon? Was it Google? Sometimes it's important, sometimes it's not. NTNU is a very respected university. So say, if it's a Taiwanese company, say at NTNU. They'll be, oh, NTNU, cool. It's important, but in this answer, maybe it wasn't important. That's okay. It's okay that it leaves some things out. You don't always need everything. How do you know? Think about the time. Do I want a 10-sentence answer, or do I want a 15-sentence answer? Sometimes the details will add length, and sometimes you don't want it. I can't tell you the right answer. Last section, how should I finish my answers? I don't know, good luck. Maybe I know something. Every great interview answer has a clear conclusion. Again, this is the part I have the hardest time with. I don't know, it's just incredibly challenging. Here are some simple conclusion options though. Option 1, restate the main points. That's how I organize, prioritize, and execute. You don't need to think about your conclusion. Just restate your main points. Restate the question. That's the time that I increased revenue for our company. That's the time I missed a deadline. That's my greatest strength. Just restate the question. Or confirm that your answer shows your capacity to do this job effectively. The big long answer I gave you, its conclusion, it confirmed that your answer shows your capacity. And that's why I'm confident that I can increase revenue at your company. That's why my skills directly highlight the skills you are looking for in the job description. So you're just confirming that your answer shows your capacity. I think I do examples. So restate the main points, and that's how I manage competing priorities. I organize, I prioritize, then I execute. I should have given my examples now. I talked too much. Restate the question. Overall, I am confident in my ability to create and execute successful marketing campaigns that will drive revenue growth for the company. Revenue growth, that's money. And that's restating the question. So this question would be, how do you execute successful marketing campaigns? Question mark. That's why I'm confident in my ability to do it. And lastly, confirm that your answer highlights your capacity to do the job effectively. As you can see, working effectively with international stakeholders is something I take seriously. Question, what is the interview question here? So this is confirming, or what is the, that's too difficult. Sorry, it's too difficult. It's weird. It's not a good question. That's what it is, not a good question. So this question is, if you're working for an international business, international stakeholders, you're just talking about working internationally. And maybe international stakeholders was on the job description. So that's your keywords. That's why my question was bad. All right. Now you're ready. Go, be gone. Just kidding, don't leave. I think that's a question slide next. Yeah, any questions? I'll leave this up here. Uni-edit provides English editing and translation services to Asia's top universities. Please visit the Uni-edit website link below for details about Uni-edit's English editing services for your research manuscripts.